What's going on, guys? The MMA Dummy here. UFC Fight Night, Brandon Moreno versus Lone'er Kavanagh takes place this weekend, and I figure I'd go through this card and give my predictions for each fight. Hopefully we do a bit better, because last week was not too well. This is a pretty good card. Not really good when you compare it to previous UFC Mexicos. You know, they had the Sphere at one point. I believe that wasn't in Mexico, but it was for UFC Mexico. This UFC Mexico, obviously Fight Night, and it was threatened because of, you know, the geopolitical issues going on over there with El Mencho being arrested and the country being in, you know, civil unrest and attacks and whatnot. But the UFC's, you know, gotten security, I imagine, gotten the place held down, and they're choosing to continue the event, which, you know, I hope everything goes well the night of the fight. But let me shut up and let's go ahead and get into the first fight of the early prelims. Damian Pinas versus Wes Schultz. Now, everyone calls him Damian Penis. It's hilarious. You know, gotta love MMA. Look, both of these guys are making their debuts, and, you know, there's not too much known on them. I think they're from the Contender Series, and they both are, like, good prospects, but I'm definitely going to take Pinas on this one. He has way more KO power. I mean, the dude's a freak on the feet when you look at body composition here. Sorry. When you look at body composition of Pinas compared to Schultz, I mean, Schultz literally has titties. And Pinas, you know, it looks pretty lean. And at middleweight, to be lean is pretty impressive because some guys do have a bit of a coat on them. You know, I'd understand Wes Schultz physique. But yeah, like, the striking is behind Pinas. He's going to land big shots. And even if it goes the distance, I can still see him winning the exchanges. Only problem is Wes Schultz's takedowns when he needs them. I don't know if stats have been populated in here or if Pinas just does not like the ground. I assume they haven't populated in because of his debut. I think he's able to stop Wes Schultz. I think athleticism, well-roundedness, he can, you know, stop the grappling, maybe even counter it. But I definitely see him putting damage on early and over the fight if it continues further and getting a win by KO TKO. I don't know what round, though, but we're taking Pinas to win probably by KO TKO at some point. We move on to Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. You know, neither of these guys are too special. They're both coming off losses. Still pretty new in their career despite, you know, Eric being a little older. Neither of these men really stand out as a reason for winning, but I think I'm probably just going to take Francis Marshall. I mean, I understand, you know, there's not too much of a difference between these men in terms of where they're at in their career, but they're both well-rounded, and I just think Francis Marshall looks a bit younger, hungrier. You know, he's coming off a loss, and he probably wants it back, and he's in the gym every day grinding for it. But Eric Silva, I mean, he's getting up there in age by the looks of it, unless he's a young guy with just gray hair, which is so unfortunate. And I don't know. I just think durability-wise, I understand maybe the KO favors Silva, but I think the well-roundedness of Marshall's going to show through here. I don't know the odds on this, but we're taking Marshall by decision, 29-28 probably. We move on to, like, this is what I'm saying, and I'm sure you can tell in my predictions that I'm kind of just, I'm ad-libbing here for some of these fights just because they're so low in terms of quality for what card they're on. Like, if this was a UFC Fight Night week main event and I didn't know the prelim opener, it's fine. It is what it is. This is UFC Fight Night Mexico. UFC has historically always tried to show out for Mexico. They haven't always delivered, but anyways, Regina Terran versus Ernesta. I'm not even going to try that. We're taking Ernesta. I know nothing about Regina Terran. But Ernesta's been in the UFC. You know, she's only lost once. She's coming off of a win in the UFC. She's a very large female. I don't know what the catch weight even is at. I'd assume probably, I'm not even, I guess that'd be offensive. But yeah, I mean, good takedown accuracy from Ernesta as well as high strike output. I mean, those are two things that should guarantee you a win at women's MMA unless you're going against one that looks like a man. But I digress. We're going to take Ernesta by decision. Yeah, I mean, come on, UFC. I don't care if it's a debut last second. Let's get some stats in there. I'm sure you can just text her and ask her. We move on, and everybody has a Tapology, dude. Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. Ugh. Now, both these guys really tenured. Like, they got a lot. And for this to be a debut so far into Reyes' career, I really do think that he's going to have some skill set that might be too much for De Andrade. He's getting up there in age, you know, taking a bit of damage at this point, coming off of a loss. Both these gentlemen, you know, the same hype, but the reach and physicality looks like it's going to favor Reyes in this fight. I think on the feet, there's always that threat of a KO, you know, from a guy like Douglas, but I feel like the grappling, not even, whoa, I take that back. The striking of Reyes, sorry, I stuttered there as I clicked a different tab. I clicked it, I was reading it, and I said it. I mean, the striking of Reyes, he also has momentum. What am I talking about here? I don't know if he was a Contender Series guy or a tough fighter or just regional scene. But the guy's got crazy momentum behind him. He's got some nasty KOs on his highlight, reel. He's got good defense when it comes to standing on the feet. Like, the guy's just well-rounded, and he's experienced, and he doesn't seem to be coming off a loss like Douglas Silva. Just going to take momentum on this one. I don't know if a finish is going to pop out anywhere. I mean, De Silva's, he's durable, I'd say. I'm just going to take Reyes to win. I'm not really going to guess the ending on that one. But, yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to Christian Quinones versus Chris Matino. I think you know who I'm taking. I don't care if he's coming off of a loss. Christian Quinones is probably going to find a way to chin Moutinho. Now, I felt bad for a guy like Moutinho because when he came in and lost against Sean, I thought, this guy could be good. He's got a chin, he's got heart, he's got grit, he's going to keep moving forward. He looked decent against a guy like O'Malley, but then we saw him against lesser competition. And not that like Malcolm Wellmaker is like bad competition, but he's got to be lower than O'Malley, and by some amount. And even other guys, I can't remember other names, but there's another guy that Moutinho fought where he just did not look good. And I just can't trust him. He's gotten a lot of chances in the UFC. This is his probably last chance because he's taken on killers like Wellmaker and O'Malley on short notice and just took an ass whooping and made it a fun fight. But Quinones is big. I don't care if he's coming off of a loss. He's well-rounded enough to find a KO. I mean, more often than not, he does find a finish. I don't know how much grappling he's going to try to get off here. Moutinho's not really a guy who is known for his grappling. He tries to stand on the feet and throw, but he just doesn't have power. And he's slow, and he's built really weak. He just cannot hang when it comes to it. Yeah, I don't really have a reason for Quinones to really win. I just have a reason for Moutinho to probably lose. So we're taking Quinones maybe by knockout if Moutinho's chin doesn't hold up at this point anymore. But if Moutinho survives, we'll take a decision. We move on to Aylin Perez versus Macy Chasson. We're taking Aylin Perez. Now, Macy's good. She's physical. I can't remember who she went against the last. I know she lost, but in the fight before that, she sliced someone open pretty bad. Like, she is good in moments. But the momentum of Perez, she uses her grappling well, whether, via sub or just winning decision. She'll push you up against the cage, make it nasty, try to take you down. I mean, like, average 4, almost 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. That's, like, pretty good. I mean, that's, like, average more than one around. And she's someone who typically when she gets the takedown, she controls them for quite a good bit. She doesn't just let him get right back up. So I can see, Macy either losing a decision, just getting out grappled here, or giving up a sub maybe later in the round once damage builds. We're taking Aylin Perez round 2, maybe round 3 submission. She's just got good momentum, and I'm going to keep following that. We move on to Ryan Gondra versus Jose Daniel Medina. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Ryan Gondra, but the dude has looked good in what when he has fought. I mean, it is his UFC debut. I think he's a Contender Series guy because he doesn't have the gloves marked. I think if you're on Tough, it is UFC. I mean, but the guy's aggressive. Like, he goes to the finish, and don't let these numbers fool you. We'll talk about it. The guy goes for it. He gets finishes. I mean, knockdown average per 15. The guy knocks you down 5 times over 3 rounds. The guy's average fight time is less than 3 minutes. Those are like Tom Aspinall numbers, but he's early in his career. I should take that back. Dude, he is skewing the graph. He is going past the median that determines him and Medina. The guy's output is insane. Look at him. He looks horrifying. He can put some power behind his shots. And Medina's a victim, dude. I don't care if he's got, good win-by stats. I mean, look at his record, 11-6. I understand it's a Tebo Gautier. He got slimed in that matchup, and I think anybody he goes against that has some level of striking is going to put pressure on him and put him away. And a guy like Ryan Gondra, based on his stats and what he's been able to do so far, I think he's going to do the same thing that Gautier did to Medina and just brutalize him against the cage until it's over. I'll probably take a round 1 KO here. I could see Gondra going out there fast, sharp, UFC debut, want to impress, want to look your best. Maybe there's some hairy moments where Medina counter grapples, but Gondra's getting that KO, man. That's we're taking that one. We'll go ahead and move on to the first fight on the main card. My God. This hurts, dude. Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. I know who I'm taking here. I'm just trying to think about how to start this. So, Angel Pacheco, I don't know too much about. Obviously not doing too well, 7-3, lost in the UFC. The guy really does not have any great stats about him. He's good on the feet, but he absorbs a lot. He takes a lot of damage. Like, he takes one to give one, and I just don't think that's good with a guy like Luna because I'm picking this fight not off of why Pacheco should lose, or but more why Luna wins, because I think I've seen a Santiago Luna fighter too. The dude's impressive. He's very, very, very well rounded. He's super young. I mean, look at him. He looks like Francis Bueller's day off. 7-0, undefeated. I mean, I think his last win was in the UFC, so he's used to this caliber. Like, he's used to the bright lights. He's not too much bigger, but he does have a size advantage over his opponent, and he's got very sticky grappling at times. I remember that. He's very aggressive on the feet, but he's really looking to get that grappling going, and dude, he's sticky, he's relentless, and he's aggressive, and I think against Pacheco over 3 rounds, I could probably see him finding like a round 2 sub, like not even waiting for Angel to get tired, like just figure out round 1 how he can get his entrances and then just do it again, and this time secure dominant position. And I think Santiago Luna is going to get a round 2 or round 3 submission. We'll go ahead and lock that in and move on to the next fight of the card. Imanol Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. Yo, I hope y'all can't hear how loud it is raining. Sorry, that just distracted me. We're taking Imanol Rodriguez, kind of same reason as the last fight. I mean, he's in his debut, so it's a bit different, but undefeated guy on the come up, has looked impressive. Like undefeated and nasty hands. What else do you need to pick a prospect in an early fight? And his opponent, Kevin Borjas, is nothing to write home about, and it's flyweight too, so it's not like the old guard is exactly like going to dominate the new guard, and that's going to counter my main event pick, but we'll get to that. But, like, you don't see these, like, guys outside the rankings ever being gatekeepers. It's just not how it works. These young flyweight guys, they come up, they make a name, and they climb to the top. We've seen it in tonight's main event. And like I said, Kevin Borjas, 10-4, not bad, but he's coming off of a loss. And he's just, I'm not going to go off of those stats. He just doesn't have what Rodriguez has. Rodriguez looks a lot more compact in the upper body, which I think is going to favor his striking style. And Kevin Borjas just doesn't look like he can take too many solid hits before he calls it a night. He absorbs quite a few in comparison to Rodriguez. Rodriguez's output is definitely going to be a lot for Borjas. And I could definitely see, Rodriguez coming in wanting to make a statement, wanting to really put it on Kevin, wanting to show people, I'm a problem and I'm going to be a problem in this division. So we're going to take Imanol Rodriguez, probably round 1, round 2 KO, I believe. We'll go ahead and move on to Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Buenas. There's not an E in there, so I don't know. But I'm going to take Edgar Chairez on this one. The guy's throwing up gang signs at weigh-ins. I don't want any smoke. You're winning, bro. Nah, I'm just kidding. They're relatively the same size, so you can't say frame here, but I think it's just the consistency. The records aren't the prettiest for either man, but coming off a win, coming off a loss. And Edgar Chairez, why am I talking about Borjas? Edgar Chairez, if I'm not mistaken, had a fight with Joshua Van and made it, like, stupid close for a second there, like, was wrestling and even putting damage on Van. I could be wrong about that. But Felipe Buena is just nothing crazy, to write home about. The guy's coming off a loss. He can't really get his grappling going when he wants it to. And I think against Chairez, the guy's athletic over 3 rounds. He's not going to get tired enough to let you get super good dominant position and wrestling exchanges off on him. And I think his output is going to be a problem. And even though it adds up to Buenas, about the same, his aggressiveness, I think he puts more power behind his shots. He's willing to take one to give one, but he has that shin. He's going to hang out in the pocket and put damage on Felipe. I think till Felipe, wilts. I really do think that he's going to put pressure on probably round 2, maybe late round 3. I'm going to call for a TKO. I don't think an outright KO. I think, Buenas will get tired against the cage. Chairez is going to put it on him. Maybe he lands a big shot that hurts Buenas, but starts putting it on him and he just collapses against the cage. We're taking Edgar Chairez round 3 TKO, I think. I just had a whole sequence play out of my head of that. But yeah, we're going with that. We move on to the feature fight of the night. Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. Bartholomew Green. No man should ever be named king. I'm pretty sure that's literally illegal to name your child like royalty. Am I wrong? I don't know. You see, if you look at Daniel Zellhuber objectively, when you're picking a fight from here on out with him, I wouldn't blame you to pick against him because the guy has failed to deliver. He's a freakishly tall dude. He looks like, his eyes are like, I don't want to look at my PC. His eyes are scaring me. He's a freakishly tall, athletic guy, but he just, I don't know if it's a power thing or if it's just putting it together. He's never able to deliver. He makes it life and death. I mean, I understand he's fought some very good guys. I want to say he fought Esteban Ribovic at the last UFC Mexico, and that was a banger fight, so props to him. But it was in his last fight, I think against Michael Johnson, he lost the decision, and that's just not a good look. I understand it's MJ who can look good against anybody, but Bobby Green himself has not looked good in recent outings. And objectively with this fight, if you said, hey, Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green from pre-Jalen Turner KO, I'd go, oh, dude, Bobby Green is going to school him. The guy, he's aggressive. He shows them young bucks how it's done. He's got output. He's got a chin. But after Jalen Turner and then the subsequent fights thereafter that Bobby Green has had, and his durability and his chin, I just can't trust it. He doesn't hold up well when a good shot lands. When things like with the Huffy KO, the Jalen Green TKO, if you can even call it Jalen Green. Jalen Green? Jalen Brown? The tarantula, Jalen Brown? I'm an idiot. Who knows? But with his loss to him, like, you know what I'm talking about. It was just so bad. He took so much brain damage that I just don't trust him to have that same chin against a guy like Zellhuber. I think if he had his chin, he could probably outpoint and tit for tat Zellhuber. I don't know if I see him finishing him. But now with that chin, man, I think he's going to try to show these young bucks how it's done. He's going to get in the pocket. He's going to shake and move. Zellhuber's going to catch him, and his chin is not going to be there to hang out with him. It's going to be gone. So we're going to take Daniel Zellhuber. I could see him getting it done early. A cocky Bobby. Win or loss. He's coming off a win too, but like win or loss, Bobby Green's always cocky, chin high, talking in the beginning of the fight, dancing on him, kind of, signaling hands. Sorry if I just hit my mic. And I could see, Zellhuber just committing to a good 1-2 or a 1-2-3. And, Green's chin is just not going to be there. That's my prediction on that one. We'll go ahead and move on to the next fight. Again, probably round 1, round 2, KO, TKO. To the co-main event, Marlon, a.k.a. Chito Vera versus David Martinez. We're taking David Martinez, man. I get it. Chito Vera's, he's durable. I don't know if he's ever really been put away. But David Martinez is good, man. He's fast. He's good on the feet. He doesn't, how many losses does he have? 1 loss. The dude's not, I don't know if he's going to find himself getting caught at the end of a Chito losing a fight KO. Where, like, he gets a Frankie Edgar with a face kick, or a Dom Cruz, after losing the entirety of the fight before. I think this is going to be a 3-round, not masterclass, not a domination, but a consistent proving of just being better when it matters. I think David Martinez is going to be fast. He's going to be snappy. I don't know if he's going to put any damage on Vera. Obviously, he'll cut him open, maybe bruise him. I don't know if he's going to drop him, TKO him. I don't know if he's going to want to get his grappling off here. It doesn't look like he ever relies on that. And if Chito tries anything, Martinez is there, and I think Martinez is very aggressive on the feet, despite, having relatively the same output as Vera. Vera doesn't have a lot of power. And I know you can say, how can you say that, dummy? He has all these KOs. Most of them are his feet, right? And I don't think Martinez is going to stand still long enough for Chito to land that, and I don't think he's going to fall into a setup of Vera. And when it comes to the hands, oftentimes Vera's a bit slow. He's always a step behind his opponents. He'll block, take a shot, try to counter, or try to come forward, and it just he won't put it together. Like against Corey Sandhagen, he just couldn't get it going as much. Corey was able to shut that down with movement, making him think, feints. And I think Martinez will kind of take from the same game plan there and use his striking kind of the same way, but with a lot more power and intent behind it. And we've seen Chito hurt before pretty bad by the Sean knee, and I feel like some other shots that I can't quite recall. And I think Martinez can find that shot that would really get his respect for the rest of that round, but I don't know if Vera gets put away, dude. The guy's that guy has a chin of vibranium. But we're going to take David Martinez to win, probably a 29-28, where Chito thinks he got robbed, but it was a clear decision for David Martinez. We move on to the main event of the evening. An unranked Lone'er Kavanagh takes on former 3-time, maybe 2, flyweight champion Brandon, the babyface assassin, Moreno, man. God, how did we get here? To be fair, this was because Asu Almalbayev pulled out, and Lone'er stepped up. Props to him. They should have done Charles Johnson, in my opinion. But here we are. Brandon Moreno, I thought he would win his last fight, but he got TKO'd. Some people say, when I went back and watched, some people saying, look at how many shots Tyra landed in that sequence. It makes sense. I kind of get it, but then other times I'm like, but he didn't even look hurt, man. It was just an awkward sequence, But Brandon Moreno hasn't looked great in his last outing, and Lone'er Kavanagh got slept. So I'm a bit confused. Lone'er Kavanagh was doing good against Charles Johnson. Honestly, was winning, was looking good. He's a young and upcoming prospect. And he, for some reason, just left the pocket against Charles Johnson, slow as hell with his hands down, trying to aura farm. And his chin was just there to get slept. So, hopefully he's learned from that. I think that was his first loss. It's a rude wake-up for a guy, for anybody. And I hope he takes that into this fight. But it's Moreno. I don't care who he's lost to, where he's at in his career. It's Moreno. Regardless of winner, the guy made it close with Pantoja. I thought he won the most recent Pantoja fight with him. That was granted 2-3 years ago. I was a little bit younger at a Buffalo's watching on my phone, so I don't really recall how what exactly happened. I thought he won in the moment. Maybe it's different, but the fact that he made it close with the guy as dominant as Pantoja multiple times, by the way, and I think he had been sub before too. So the fact that he was improving and getting closer to that guy, I think just shows how much of a mainstay he is at the top. I want to say he fought Brandon Royval and he won, and if he didn't, then they've all he's beaten Figgy a bunch of times. They're 2-1-1, maybe 1-1-1. I think I can't remember. But all that to say, the dude has resume and consistency at the top, and just because he had a rough slip loss against a guy like Tyra, who's now fighting for the belt, I don't know if Lone'er can do this, man. And if he doesn't, I'm full steam ahead behind the hype. Lone'er is a guy that I'm behind. I support him. He's a fun fight. But against a guy like Moreno, I think this might be too much too soon. Now, if he's revolutionized his game, not even that, if he's just tightened up his game and isn't going to make the mistakes that he did against Johnson, he's got a chance. The kid has a chance. But if he goes in there anywhere near what he was at in the Johnson fight, I don't even know if he gets KO'd, but I just think Moreno outdoes him. I think Moreno finds his grappling when he wants to. I think he outdoes him on the feet with just fast, weird, movement. He's known for that. He's got weird, lean, hit you with stuff. And Loner's, pretty small. I understand Moreno's a small guy, too. But if a guy like Moreno has height and reach on you, you're a small human, dude. Very. So, he killed me for sure in the ring. He kicked my ass. But all that to say is I think the consistency, despite the loss, the consistency at the top over the past few years, the name value of his wins and of his losses and the quality of his losses, how they weren't complete shutouts. He always made it close. He never quit on himself. And just the lack of tenure of Lone'er Kavanagh, as well as the recent performance. Loner's KO loss weighs on my decision to pick him more than it does Moreno's TKO loss than it does on my decision to pick him. You know what I mean? And I think I'm just going to take Brandon Moreno. I think he's a lot more durable here. I think he's a lot more consistent, a lot more proven, and I'm just not quite ready to give up on Moreno yet. I don't think he's washed. I think Tyra is very good, and I don't know if that was a finishable sequence. If you run that fight back 10 times out of 10, I don't know how many Moreno would win. But nonetheless, I think Moreno is still good enough to beat a guy like Lone'er, and it might just be too much too soon for him. But if I'm wrong, great for Lone'er. I am still behind him as a fan, like him as a fighter. We're all good. This was a bit of a longer video. I was yapping on some of these fights here. Earlier in the card, I didn't really know too much about the fighters just because, let's be honest, these are not the strongest fights for UFC Mexico historically. But I definitely, and I wanted to, compensate that with these final few matchups, really trying to go in depth about what I know about the fighters and how I think that weighs into my decision, so you don't think I'm just, yapping shit the whole way through. But if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. Check out my most recent video on, what even was it? I think it was the Sean Strickland Hamzat thing. Who knows? But check out that recent video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know who you have in the main event this evening. Not this evening. I'm talking like I'm Bruce Buffer. Let me know who you have in the main event for the card this weekend. If you're a betting man, good luck. But, yeah. See ya.